Hello and welcome to this workshop on the fundamentals of Website X5. In this workshop, we will learn how to create a website starting from one of the many templates available in the program. First, we will learn how to modify existing content, access the pages and change images, colors, buttons, until we create a page completely from scratch. As an example, we decided to start from this hiking template, which was originally conceived for travel blogs. We will transform it into this, a website designed for an agency that organizes field trips. But don't worry, Website X5 allows you to completely modify any template you chose. This means that you will always be able to achieve the wished result, regardless of the template you choose to start from. Before we start working on the website, let's take a look at Website X5 in itself. Website X5 is a software that allows you to create websites without having to code. This means that all tasks can be completed effortlessly with simple mouse clicks, making it easier for everyone to get the wished result. In the software's name, X5 refers to the 5 steps in which Incomedia decided to organize the website creation process. On step 1, you define the general website features. On step 2, you set up the graphic design of the website template. On step 3, you create the map, namely the web page structure that will make up your website. On step 4, you will work on the content of each page. And on step 5, you will publish the final result online. In addition to that, Website X5 provides a series of tools to further simplify the website creation. For instance, the practical and handy drag and drop, a feature that allows you to set up the website pages by dragging the objects on the grid. Each object will allow you to add a specific feature to the page: an image, a text, a Google module, a map, and so on. Finally, you can always check out the preview to see the outcome in real time. Well, I think we can now start creating our website. First, we will see how to create a new project for Website X5. The first step to create a project is to choose a template. What are templates? Templates are preset websites available within the program. You will have the possibility to preview these templates to select the structure that best meets your needs. To create a new project starting from a template, just click on the new icon and then check out the templates provided by the software. Templates are organized in categories and can be free or paid. Paid templates report a price in credits in the upper left corner of the preview icon. You can see how each template works by selecting it and then clicking on the preview button. You will have the possibility to check the template with its presettings, navigate within the pages so to understand if the structure meets your needs. In this workshop, we will use the template called Hiking. This template was designed to create websites that focus on travel, experiences, and tourism. Templates are not binding, so that each element can be modified during the editing process. When you have identified the template that best meets your needs, just click on the Start button to download a copy of the template from the remote server, so to make it available on your computer. The project has been downloaded locally and opened in edit mode. By clicking on the Preview button, you will be able to display and try the template preview on your computer. The first thing we can do to customize the template we just downloaded is to modify the website general information. Let's go to Step 1, General Information. Here we will have the possibility to enter some information that will be used by Website X5 to customize, for example, the titles of the pages or to optimize the positioning on the search engines. Let's enter the website title, a brief description, the website author, the category, and possibly the language of the contents. The content language is the language that is used by Website X5 to generate all the automated messages. Another element that we can modify is the website icon or favicon. You just need to select an icon from your computer that it is applied next to the title of each page. Before we start customizing the template contents, you should first understand how the structure of the individual web pages works. The preview feature of Website X5 will help us with this. Let's click on the Preview button and view the template we have downloaded. Each page of the website is organized in three main areas, namely the header, the content area, and the footer. The header and footer are common for all pages of the website and are placed respectively at the top and bottom of the page. The central area is the content area and it changes for each page of the site. Let's see now how we can quickly change the background colors of the header and footer. Let's click on Template and then on Template Structure. Website X5 reports the structure of the pages. We can select the elements directly from the drop-down menu or by clicking on them in the preview. Let's click on the header and then on the color selector to set the new background color. We can choose preset colors or enter numerical value to identify a specific color. In our case, we have a particular requirement. We want the colors of the header and footer to match the colors of the new logo we have chosen for our website. To do this, we can use the Pipette tool. The Pipette tool gives us the option to click over a color or over an image to select the exact numerical values of that color and apply it to the color selector. Let's resize the Website X5 window to view the logo we have previously loaded. Let's click on the Pipette from the color selector and select the logo background color while keeping the mouse button clicked. Let's do the same for the footer. Let's click on the footer background color, open the color selector, select the Pipette and pick up the color we want by keeping the mouse button clicked, and releasing it only when we are on the wished color. Let's click on OK, resize the window of Website X5 again and check out the preview. The header and footer have changed color, adapting to the logo that we are going to use for our website. Once the header and footer background colors have been changed, we can proceed to modify the content. Again, on step 2, Template, click on Template Content. In this section, Website X5 displays a preview of the header, the footer, and possibly a sidebar, if the template has one. We can rearrange the elements by clicking on them and dragging them with the mouse. Double-click to edit the content. A specific window will open for the selected object, which gives us the possibility to edit its features. Once the changes have been confirmed, we will be able to see the outcome in real time by pressing the preview button. In our case, we want to replace this title object with our logo. To remove an element from the header or footer, just click on it and select the Cancel button. Now let's see how to create an image element that allows us to display the new logo. Just drag the image object inside the header from the template main objects, which are reported at the bottom of the screen. We can resize it, and, by double-clicking, open and edit it. Let's click on the folder icon and select our new logo. Now let's click OK and position the logo. If we want to position it more precisely, we can use the arrow keys on the keyboard. Let's click on the Preview button, and here we have our new website logo. Let's go on with the changes. We now want to work on the menu object. Let's double-click on it and start exploring the features we can edit. First, let's change the hover effect. That is, how the individual menu entries will behave every time the user hovers on them with the mouse. From the menu selection window, we select Item on mouse over. Here we can change the menu item characteristics when the mouse hovers on them. Let's select a new text color and a new background color. Because we want to set the same background color as our new logo, we can use the color selector, from which we can select the last colors we set. Let's click on the Preview button, and here we have the menu with the new settings we set to the items on mouse over. Let's go a step further. We can change the radius of the corners. By increasing this value, we will create a rounded label under the menu item. We can also change the menu button width or the margin thickness to be set vertically and horizontally. By working on the main, level menu and hamburger menu sections, we can customize the navigation menu of our website. The last element we are going to modify in the header is the list of social buttons. To do this, double-click on the object to edit it. First, we have to add a new button. Let's just type in the URL of the social network we want to connect and the icon we want to associate. Now let's change the button's look. We can reduce the size of the icons, change the distance between them and the colors that will be used. Let's use the color library to select the green of our logo, like we just did. Let's modify the icon blur effect, click OK and display the preview. Let's now focus on the footer. Click on Footer to access a graphic preview of the footer contents. In this case, we want to make a much more radical change. We want to remove all the objects inside the footer, except one, the central text block. Here, we will insert our website logo. As we have just seen for the header, removing objects is very simple. Just select them and press the Delete button. Now let's modify the text displayed in this area by inserting our website logo. Double-click to open the text object window. Let's select the text we want to remove and insert the image by clicking on the Add Image button. Let's click OK and check out the preview to view the changes we just made. The map of a website is an organized list of all the pages and subpages that make up the website itself. In Website X5, you just need to click on the map entry to access the graphic display of the website structure. From this section you can add, delete, or rename the pages. All changes we make will be automatically applied to the website menu items, which we have positioned earlier in the header. Let's make a small change. Let's select the home page, click on Rename and change the name. If we now launch the preview, the main navigation menu will show the change we just made. If you want to delete pages, just select them and press the Remove button. Also in this case, the links to the pages you removed will be automatically removed from the menu as well. Let's see how to create a new page. There are two ways to proceed. Starting from an empty page, for example by clicking on New Page, or cloning an existing page of the website. To do this, just select it, copy it, and paste it. Another thing you can do in this section is to add levels. Levels are special elements that allow us to create menu items within the menu items. To create a level, just click on the New Level button. To add menu items or move pages within these levels, just select the pages and drag them with the mouse inside the folder. Done. One last feature of this section is the possibility of hiding pages. In this way, the pages will still be present on the website, so they can be linked to other pages through buttons, but they won't be displayed within the navigation menus. To hide a page, just select it with the mouse and click on the Hide button. If we run the preview, our menu will be modified accordingly. The trips entry will be a multi-level menu item, within which only 2 out of 3 entries will be visible. One last aspect. Special pages. Special pages are pages that are automatically created by Website X5 when particular software functions are enabled. An example for special pages are the blog pages, namely the article page and the blog main page. A blog is provided in the template we have selected. It provides some default blog content, which is why the special pages connected to it are displayed. If we go to Settings, Blog, and we delete the default content, the special pages will be hidden and no longer generated by Website X5. To delete the default content, select the entries and press the Remove button. If we now go back to the map, the special pages linked to the blog will no longer be visible, because the software will no longer be able to generate them automatically, given that there is no more content to display. Now let's customize the home page. To open a page in edit mode, just double-click on it from the map creation window. Website X5 will show us the grid on which the objects that make up the content are positioned. The first object we are going to edit is the text object, which allows you to display a text on the page. To edit the content of an object, just double-click on it. First, let's replace the preset text with ours. Once we are done, we can format it using the tools that the object provides us with. Let's change the alignment from left to centered. Now we can modify the font, that is, the character with which our text is displayed. To modify the font used, we can go to Step 2, Template, and click on Text, Field, and Button Style. Here, we can modify from a single point the font used for the texts of our whole website. The changes made here will in fact be applied to all the texts on our website. If we select Page Text, we can replace the font with one of those available in the drop-down menu. Let's assume we want to use a different font that is not in the list. Website X5 gives us the possibility to import the characters directly from Google Font, without touching a line of code. To do this, just click on Select Font Type, Add Web Fonts from Google Font. Once the font is identified, click on it to select it and press OK. The font has been correctly installed within the application and is ready for you to select it from the drop-down menu. If we click on OK, go back to the map and open the home page, we will notice that the font has been correctly modified. Now, we can add other features to our text, such as the formatting. Let's now move on to the title. Just like before, we can edit the color, not only of this text, but of all the texts displayed on our website. To do this, let's go back to the text style section. Let's select heading 1 and let's change the color. Let's repeat the same operation for the other title levels. Let's click on OK, go back to our page and check out the changes applied. By running the preview, we will discover that all the texts of our website have been updated according to the changes we made. That is a new color for the titles and a new font for the texts of the website. The prerogative of text objects is the possibility to define hypertextual links within them. Hypertextual links are sensitive text portions, that is, text portions users can interact with through the mouse click. To create a hypertextual link, just select the text portion that you want to make active and click on the button Insert Link. A window will open, in which we can choose the action to be carried out when the link is clicked. We can choose to open a new page of the same or another website, or to perform any other action we want, such as creating image galleries, sending emails, or activating communication functions such as phone calls, in case the user's visiting our website from a mobile device, or messaging services such as Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. Once we have defined the behavior we want, we just need to click on OK. The selected text portion will take on the typical style set for the links. By clicking on the Preview button, we will be able to immediately try the action we have selected. Just as it is the case for titles and the fonts used within the website, if we want to edit the link style, we will just need to go back to Step 2. Template, Text Style, select the active link entry and edit its settings. In this case, we are going to set the same color we have adopted for the rest of the site for the links too. Let's see now how to modify the image object. Double-click on the object to edit it. We can select the image to be displayed by clicking on the folder icon. The file selection window will open, which allows us to choose the source from which the image has to be loaded. We can upload images from the computer's hard drive or download them directly from online, premium, paid, or free libraries, which are all integrated in the software. Let's select an image from the local disk and click OK. The image is automatically replaced by the one we've chosen. Let's click on the Preview button to see the result. In addition to replacing images, we can also act on some effects that Website X5 allows us to apply to images. If we click on the Edit button, the image editor will open. The image editor allows us to crop the images, to modify the framing and to adapt them to the general style of our website, as well as to apply masks directly to the website. Applying masks and other effects with the image editor don't permanently change the original image. This means that at any time it will be possible, by clicking on the Edit button, to alter or remove all the corrections we have applied within this window. Just like it is the case for the text object, you can also insert links on the images. This will make the image clickable. To create a link associated with an image, just click on the link button within the image object window. The link window will open, very similar to the one we saw earlier. Here, we can select the action that will be performed when the user clicks on the image. We can then click on Preview to see the result. Now we can move on to the separator object. The separator object is used to add empty space between two objects. This helps improve the legibility of the contents, or to focus the user's attention on a specific area of the web page. Let's double-click on the object and modify the height of the separator. Let's run the preview and see the effect. Let's reset the parameter and run the preview again. And here we have reduced the empty space between these two areas of the page. The separator object can also be used for creative purposes. Let's run the preview and focus on the top of the page. In this area, we have a full screen image, which changes with a transition effect. Well, this effect was made using a separator. Let's go back to the structure. As you can see, a height of 600 pixels was set for the separator object. The object has also been extended using the Extend button. This makes the object take up the whole width of the visible area. As to the image, we must first introduce a new concept, namely the concept of row formats. The website X5 page is not only divided into columns, but also into rows. Each row can have different graphic characteristics. To access the row formats configuration, just click on the Row Formats button. Here we can modify the graphic aspect of each row of the page. In this case, the aspect is determined by the background parameter set on ImageList, which allows us to create an automatic animation between multiple selected images. Let's delete the preset images and add new ones. Then let's click OK and run the preview. As you can see, we have modified the content of the upper section of the page. The row formats allows you to create very complex graphic effects. In fact, in addition to modifying the type of background of a row, you can also add some particular graphic effects, such as the parallax. To assign or modify the parallax effect on a row, just click on the Parallax button. Let's work on the fourth row. In this case, the fourth row is characterized by an image overlaid by a green band. The background of this row is set on image. Let's modify the image. As we mentioned, in this row, an overlay color is also applied, a kind of semi-transparent colored film that influences the color of the entire image. To modify the overlay parameter, just click on the Overlay button. In this case, we modify the color from green to dark gray with an opacity of 95%. Let's click OK and run the preview. If you want to further darken this background, just select a different color. Other features attributable to the background of a row are colored, which applies a solid color to the entire row; gradient, which allows you to automatically generate a gradient from the start and end colors; image and image list, which are the parameters we have just seen; animation, which allows you to generate an HTML animation in real time; video, to load a video; or map, to insert a Google map as the background of the row. After modifying the content of the home page, we can move on to the trekking page. Let's double-click on it from the map section to open it in edit mode. Let's launch the preview and view the content of the page. First, we will have to customize the text areas and images, as we have seen in the previous chapters. Now let's move on to the gallery object modification. We need to double-click on the object to open it in edit mode. The gallery object gives us the possibility to create simple galleries for our website. It is very simple to use. The first thing to do is to select the images we want to display. We delete the preset images by selecting them and clicking on the Remove button. We then click on the Add button to add new images. At this point, we can modify the style of the gallery, or the graphic aspect that it will have. Let's click on Style and choose the kind of gallery we want: a classic gallery, that is, without thumbnails; a horizontal or vertical gallery; a simple list of thumbnails; a list of thumbnails on more frames; thumbnails positioned horizontally or vertically. Let's click on Thumbnails and launch the preview. It is possible to open the images in full screen when the user clicks on them. Now, let's reset the default display, the horizontal gallery. Let's increase the number of visible thumbnails and possibly enable the automatic reproduction of the images. And here it is. Just like in the case of other image objects, it is possible to add links to the images we display in our gallery. To do this, we can simply select the image and click on the link button. Website X5 offers different types of galleries, from the most modern to the most interactive ones. Some of them are already included in the software, others can be purchased as optional objects. The last thing we need to do to complete the customization of this page is inserting a new object in the grid, the button object. The button object allows you to create a CTA, or call to action, a clickable element that allows users to interact with the website. To create the button, add a new row at the end of the page. Let's click the button Add a Row. After adding the row, let's increase the size of the last image so that it takes on 2 rows. Let's add a new row to create more space. We then have to resize the image again and create the button. Let's click on Categories, All Objects, and drag the button on the grid. The destination cell will change color. When you release the mouse button, a new object will be created. As soon as we create an object on the grid, the white background indicates that an object has just been created and its properties have not yet been set. Therefore, it will not be displayed in preview. Double-click on the button object to proceed with its customization. First, let's define a text. We can edit the text properties and change the background color. We can now modify the other properties of this button, such as the margins, the thickness of the margins, and the rounded corners. Then, we will keep the default settings and work on the margins, that is the space between the text and the button margins. Let's then modify the background color, which is the color that Website X5 will use to highlight the button when the mouse is pressed. We will use the pipette tool to pick up the color sample from an image on the computer. We can now check out the final outcome. Before confirming the changes and proceeding with the preview, we must, however, set a link. Let's click on the link button to access the window reporting the list of available actions. Let's see what are the possible options. All these options are always available whenever Website X5 allows us to create a link on an image, a text, or a button. There are many functions available. We have advanced features such as direct link to the blog or the e-commerce products. We have the possibility of displaying a notification message, activating the automatic print of the current page, playing a sound, starting a call, or sending a message. In the case where the user is visiting our website on a mobile device, it will in fact be possible to give them the possibility to make a call or start a messaging program. We can then define the opening of the email program. With a preset subject and message, we can generate an image with a gallery associated with it, open a local file such as a PDF document, or redirect the user to an external website. In these two cases, we can choose whether to open the destination page or file in a showbox window, in the same window, or in a new browser window. In our example, we will use the last type of action provided by the software, that is, the website page. In this way, we can create an interactive navigation between the pages of our website. To select the destination page, just click on the icon associated to the website page option. A graphic representation of the website map we have created on step 3 will open. Let's select the destination page and click OK. Now let's check out the preview to see the result. In our case, what we want to do is create a link to a page that we will create later. Let's then go to step 3, create a new page and rename it. Let's hide the page so that it is not visible on the website menu. Let's then go back to the tracking page. Let's open the button object and change the destination page, so the links leads to the new page we have just created. Let's then click OK, start the preview and verify how the button has changed its behavior. The destination page is currently empty. We will later find out how to create it from scratch. Before proceeding with the creation of a page from scratch, we continue with the modification of the pages of the template. Let's go back to the step 3 map and double-click on the page contacts. Let's run the preview and see how this page is structured. We immediately see 2 text blocks that we will modify, following the steps we have seen previously. We will then modify 2 new objects, the map object and the contact form object. Let's start with the map object. The map object allows you to display a Google Maps map within the website. Setting up this object is very simple. Let's start by entering the address we want to display. We can then select a view mode, map, street view, directions, or search. Some of these views require adding a personalized Google API key. Select Map if you want to use the system preset. You can always choose the style to use: Google Earth, that is a satellite photograph, or map, with the classic street representation. You also have the option to select the zoom factor of the map. Click OK and run the preview. Let's now move on to customizing the contact form. The first thing we want to do is editing the width of our form. To do this, we need to modify the Website X5 grid by adding more columns. Now, we resize the objects. Once finished, we use the HTML code object to fill the empty space on the sides of the contact form. In this way, we will have the possibility to manage the responsive effect of the site, but we will see this later. Let's double-click on the contact form object to modify its features. The first thing we can do is modify the fields we are requesting from the user. Let's click on the field we want to modify first. Let's change the label. Let's repeat the same operation for all fields. In the case of the date of birth field, we want to replace it with a phone number field. We can edit the field and change the type from date to text field. In the case of a mandatory field, we can specify it from the Field Configuration section. If a mandatory field isn't filled out before the form is sent, Website X5 will display an error message. Let's click on Preview and check out the modified form. Once the field structure is set, we can access the Send tab, where we can specify the email address to which all messages must be sent. Finally, in the Style section, we can customize the appearance of the fields. By clicking on each preview, it will be possible to modify the individual items. We can change the character dimension, the rounded corners of the fields, the possible margin applied to the field's labels, and the appearance of the Send button. Let's click on OK and run the preview. We have one last thing to do. Our form must be positioned on a background similar to the logo. In this specific case, the background is managed using the cell background. By selecting an object and clicking on Style, we can define the color that the cell containing the object must have. Let's select a different color. Let's do the same for the cell containing the form. Let's click on Preview and check out the result. The cell properties can be modified in many ways. In the Style section, you can find all the properties related to the graphic appearance of the cell background. You can edit the background color, the border, the rounded corners of the fields, and both inner and outer cell margins. Now let's create a new page from scratch. Let's go to Step 3 Map and double-click on the new page that we created earlier. The page is obviously empty. First, let's increase the number of columns of the grid so that we have more space. Let's click on the button Add a column before the selected cell. Well, now let's start placing the objects on the grid. First, let's insert a separator object. Let's drag and resize it so that it is as wide as the screen. Let's open it to edit and set a height of 40 pixels. This will allow us to distance the content of the page from the header by creating a 40 pixel space. Now let's insert two objects next to each other, a text and a Google Maps object. Let's drag the text object on the grid and make it as wide as half of our page. Then let's search for the Google Map object and insert it too. Don't forget that the newly created objects have this background, which means that the object has been created inside the grid, but its properties have not yet been edited. Let's open the text object by double-clicking on it and insert the text we want to display. Let's format the text, position ourselves on the first line and select Header 1 to use this text as a title. Let's click on the Preview button and see the result. Let's change the background color of the text object. We can do this by selecting the object and clicking on Style. Let's change the radius of the corners. Let's click on OK and see the preview. We have correctly modified the background of the cell, but this has caused two visual anomalies. First, the color of the title matches the color of the background, and this makes it unreadable. Let's make two changes to the text to solve this problem. First, we will change the color of the text and the title. Secondly, we will increase the space between the text and the edges of the cell. Let's go open the text object, select the text and change the color to white. When we unselect the text, it is unreadable as it is white on a white background. Inside the text editing window of Website X5, we have the option to modify the background color used to preview the text, from light to dark and vice versa. Let's click on the icon and see that the background of the text field becomes dark gray so that we can easily read the white text. Let's click on OK, run the preview and see that our title is visible again. As to the second change, we need to increase the space between the text and the edges of the cell. To do this, let's select the object and click on Margins. We have here the option to set the outer margin, the inner margin and the content alignment inside the cell. Let's modify the outer margin by specifying different values for each side. Let's do the same for the inner margin, too. Let's click on OK and run the preview. As you can see, our text is visible and well positioned within the margins of the cell. Let's now move on to the Google Maps object. As we did before, let's double-click on the object and modify the maximum size of the map. This operation is very important because it allows us not only to define how big our map should be, but also to change the proportions between the map height and width, thus modifying the appearance. Let's set a value of 1600 pixels to create a more square map. Let's change the style to Google Earth so that we have a satellite view of the place of interest, being, in this case, a naturalistic place. Let's increase the zoom factor of the map. Also in this case, we are going to modify the margins. This time, we will keep 30 pixels for the inner margin on all sides and 0 pixels for the outer margin on all sides. Let's click on OK and run the preview. Let's continue with the creation of our new page. To do this, we have to create more rows in the grid. Let's select on the last row and click on the Add Row button. Now that our grid is big enough to contain all the objects we want to use, let's carry on adding contents. Let's insert a new separator. This time we will need the separator to display a full-width image, which will act as a divider between an upper content area, which we just worked on, and a lower content area we are going to customize later. Let's go edit the object by setting a height of 500 pixels. Let's take our separator and extend it to the whole page width. As we did before, we will use the row formats to fill this empty space with an image, with a list of animated images, with a background color, or with other characteristics according to the specific needs. Let's click on Row Formats, select the row we used for the separator, which should actually already be selected, choose Background Image, and select the image to be displayed. In this case, we will upload an image from the free online library. To make the graphic effect more appealing, let's apply a parallax effect to this background. Let's click on OK and check out the preview. We have one last thing to do. Let's go back to row formats, select the row in question and extend it. Let's now create a text object, a button object, and a new image object. After resizing them, let's customize them. After entering the text, we can format it using the tools provided by the interface. Same thing for the image object. This time we will select an image from the local disk. If you want the image to be more centered, you can use the image editor. Let's click on Edit, Crop, and select the portion of the image we want to display. If you want to, you can apply filters, a watermark, frames, effects, or masks to your image. Please note that these edits do not overwrite the original image you have uploaded within the project. All of these changes can be undone at any time, as they do not alter the image loaded with the image object. Let's now proceed to edit the button as well. Let's select an image and insert a link. We need to select the button and click on Link. Let's select the image and let's customize the inner and outer margins. We have to repeat the operation for all the objects we have inserted. If you want to delete excess rows, select a cell of the row you want to delete and press the button Remove the selected row. Click on the Preview button to see the final result. If you want to edit the object straight from the preview, you can click on the Object Edit Mode button, which will allow you to modify any object you can select on the fly. After creating the new web page, we can click on the preview button and stop for a moment. Web pages have got, as in this case, many contents. This means that in order to be able to display them all, it is necessary to move vertically inside the page. When we scroll the page, the header disappears from the visible area. This means that in order to access the navigation menu or the information it reports, the user will necessarily have to go back to the top of the page. To avoid this problem and improve the user's experience, it is possible to enable the so-called sticky bar. The sticky bar is nothing more than a horizontal bar that is automatically displayed when the header is no longer visible. Let's see now how to add a sticky bar inside our web page. Close the preview and go to Step 2, Template. Here we find the sticky bar section. The sticky bar features are very similar to those of a header. First, we must enable the display, then we can set the background color. Once the sticky bar is created, we can add content. Let's move on to the Contents section, where we will find an interface very similar to the one already used to compose the header of the page. Just as before, we can drag the objects we want to display and compose our sticky bar. In our case, we will replicate exactly what the user sees in the site header. Let's click on the Preview button and view the result. At this point, we are viewing the header of the page. Let's try to move down. And here is our sticky bar when the header is no longer visible. Our website is complete. Before publishing it online, we must look at one last aspect, so to further optimize our project. The responsive feature. What does it mean for a site to be responsive? It means that a website can adapt to devices with different screen sizes. In other words, how it should be displayed on a computer, a tablet, or a mobile phone. Website X5 provides a series of tools that allow you to optimize and customize the display on various devices without having to write lines of code. Let's see some basic concepts of the responsive feature. Let's go back to Step 2, Template, and select Resolutions and Responsive Design. In this section, Website X5 is showing us what are the screen sizes that will be taken into account. Each of these sizes is called breakpoint. Website X5 includes by default 4 breakpoints, each one represented by a different color. This aspect is very important, because these colors will be used in different parts of the program to allow us to understand what breakpoint or resolution we are working on. Let's click OK and go to Template Structure. If you remember, here is where we have defined the background color of the header and footer. On the left side of the section, there is a bar that reports the same breakpoints seen before. For each of these breakpoints, we can specify different properties of the template structure. Therefore, if we want to keep the same header and footer background color for all resolutions, we have to set it here. Let's repeat the same procedure on all the breakpoints. Once we're done, all the sections will show us the same colors. Let's click on the Preview button and check the outcome. First, please note that the breakpoint colors are reported in the Website X5 Preview too. This allows us to resize the window in a very simple and intuitive way to see the presettings for each breakpoint. If we do not want to manually resize the window, we can use some special buttons. In doing this, we immediately notice that the objects change appearance and position when we switch from one resolution to the other. In some cases, they even disappear. This is because the objects in the web pages must be rearranged in order to optimize their position for the different breakpoints. Let's move on to the template content. Also in this case, on the left side of the section, we find the same tool that allows us to view the content for the different responsive sections. For each of them, we will have to position the objects so they meet our requirements. Once this operation is completed for all responsive resolutions, we will have obtained a complete page. Let's repeat the same steps for the footer. Then, let's launch the preview and see the result. After optimizing the header and footer for all resolutions, let's see how to set the responsive content on the pages. Let's go to Step 3, Map, and open the trekking page. The responsive feature of Website X5 is based on the concept of responsive sequence, a numerical sequence of objects that will have priority over others when they have to go to the head. To access the responsive sequence, click on the Responsive button. Within this section, each object reports a number, which represents the position within the sequence. Also, in this case, the system provides the same navigation interface so that we can work on the individual responsive resolutions. Here, we can define if some objects will have to be hidden in the next responsive resolutions, as in this case, or if it is necessary to insert line breaks. When we switch from the first to the second breakpoint, we expect this image to disappear. If we decide to keep the image visible, we can click on the button Show Hide and make the image visible again with one single click. Once we are done creating the page, we can move on to the finalization of the site. Let's go to Step 5, Export, where we can find all the tools that will allow us to optimize the site, optimize the project, or proceed with the project export on the internet or on a hard drive. The optimization of the site allows us to perform an analysis of all the web pages we have created. In case there were mistakes such as missing fonts, or we could apply optimizations, for instance for better indexing our website on Google, they would be reported within this interface. The optimization window of the project allows us to reduce the size of the project's library, deleting any images that were inserted into objects and then deleted. Again, within this window, we have the possibility to export all the resources of the library on our hard drive. In case you used paid images from the premium library integrated in Website X5, a banner would be displayed in this section reporting the number of images that must be purchased. You can purchase the images by clicking on the Purchase button. The purchase of images takes place with the Website X5 credit system. If you decide not to purchase the images, and to not replace them with others either, Website X5 will still export the images of the premium library, but they will display a watermark. We can now go on and export the website. By clicking on Export the project, we can save all the content of our website, that is the pages, its structure, the image library, in a single EW zip file. This file can be saved for backup purposes and imported into Website X5 on this or other installations. When we create an EW zip file, we will have the possibility to include a copy of the preview, possible backup copies, as well as to reduce the size of larger images. In this case, Website X5 will reduce the size of the images used on the project, thus resizing this file too and optimizing the import speed. By clicking on the Upload the Website to Internet button, we can go on and publish our website online. If we are using the hosting included with Website X5, we will have to do nothing but click on the Start button. Website X5 will in fact retrieve from the server all the necessary information for the connection to the hosting. If we want to use an external hosting, that is, a webspace that isn't integrated with Website X5, we will have to select another provider. Then we need to click on the Parameters button and report the FTP parameters, the email and any data for the database connection. This information will be provided directly by the hosting provider. Once the information is reported, we will just need to click on the Start button to proceed, as in the previous case, to upload the data online.